Hi there. Welcome to Sunnyside Journals. I'm Catherine, and I'm here today with a flip through of a junk journal that I just recently completed. And I thought I'd take you on a tour through it. It's uh, it's a beautiful book, um, quite thick. It's a good size. It's a good size for journaling. It is, let me see, 5.5 inches by 7 7/8 inches, and it is 2 inches thick. I have put 9 signatures into it, and they are done with a hidden hollowback spine. The spine has been restored because, as best as I can figure, this book is probably about 100 years old. There was no publication date inside it in the original text, but from what I have learned over making junk journals all this time, is that this style of book was very popular, doing the embossed and gilded covers with these beautiful, vivid illustrations. Very popular from late 1800s into the early 1900s. So I would really dare say, in my guesstimate, this book is probably more or less about 100 years old. I have restored the insides, added all new papers, and we're going to go through it page by page so you can take a look-see. The first thing you'll see here is some sparkly gold baker's twine that I have added, a little brass bell, a little rusty key, and a little tag. That can come off. It's only tied on with a bow. So if that's not your thing, you can take that off. You can put it somewhere else if you like. But I just think that looks pretty. So you'll see when you open it here, I have used for end papers wrapping paper from a book of Victorian prints of wrapping papers. And both end papers are done in this beautiful blue and yellow paper. All of the illustrations and fussy cuts and ephemera that you will see in this book come from rescued sources. So that means they're either from antique shops, thrift stores, yard sales, rummage sales, friends' stash. I have friends who say, hey, would you like this to use in junk journals? And I gratefully accept each time. So the only thing brand new in this journal, in this particular journal, is the glue that I have used. I use several different kinds of acid-free glues, and also the threads that I used to hand sew the signatures in. And in case you don't know what that is, a signature is a bundle of pages that goes into a book. You'll see them in almost any kind of book. You can see them right there. All those little bundles of folded paper are called a signature. And this book, as I said, has 9. So I have fussy cut and borrowed beautiful, what I think beautiful illustrations, mostly pertaining to knights and kings and queens and damsels and castles. So there's that strong theme throughout this book. Let's take a look. For the beginning and the end signature, I have added this gorgeous gold trim. I believe it's upholstery trim. Again, from thrifted sources, so who knows? Who knows? All the papers, most of the papers have been tea dyed by me, except for these original papers that were in the book. The book had 8 full color illustration plates, and I have included them all back into the book. This is from a 1940s drawing manual. and I thought horses was appropriate. This is from a children's school book. I literally took the staples out and I pretty well put the entire book back into this book. So that patina is genuine, and it's just beautiful vintage writing paper for you. I made a journaling tag from the front page of the book. The paper was so old and crumbly that it had to be used only by restoring it onto stronger cardstock. So if you can see through this, you'll notice that this actually was a children's mathematics flashcard. And I've turned that into a journaling card. And then there's a little tuck spot using some more paper that matches the end papers. And this paper here was from a booklet I found of music theory test pages. Here's a pocket with a castle on it, and I've tucked in a few little journaling cards. This little tag, I put the year 1900 on it. I always try to include the publication date, but of course, as I said, I don't know the exact date for this year, so that 1900 is approximate. And that's a genuine vintage cigar band right there. Here is an illustration out of a book that was on Knights and Castles of some ladies performing music and dancing, and it's a journaling card. This is a postcard that I created from a postcard, and this is an illustration of Henry V. And you'll see that there's a stamp there from Portugal, a vintage stamp, and it's got a knight or a conquistador on it. And I put those here. You will be able to move these tags to wherever you like. So you'll see there is lots of journaling space in this book. I didn't over decorate it. I think that that's your job, and you should be the one to enjoy doing it. The signatures you'll see have red and gold upholstery fabric tabs on the front page of each signature. Here's a fussy cut rose and the chapter heading from chapter 12 of the actual text block. A lot of the chapters actually had little quotes or poems, so whenever possible, I tried to include them in some way. Another illustration from the original book. Flip out. A little tag of a damsel and the dictionary definition of damsel. And this is a playing card from a deck of actual playing cards, and that's the king. You'll see that most of the pages are full size. Some are offcuts that I've also still included. This paper that I've used throughout the book is beautiful resume paper, and I love that raw edge on it. Here's a little journaling card that I made. These were from a box of wedding place setting cards that I found, and I tea dyed it. And again, here you'll see I've used one of the chapter headings on this card, and there's a little bird that I fussy cut. This is a rusty paper clip with lace on it. And you'll see that I've done a little bit of stenciling here and there, not too much. Another journaling card made from a book that I cut the illustration out of on an index card. Another illustration from the original book. This book has 214 pages front and back total. Another tuck spot with a castle and a bird flying, and another index card with a chapter heading from the original book, and some more medieval men. Or not necessarily medieval, but you know what I mean. knights and kings and all that sort of jousting good stuff. This is a thank you card that I repurposed and again used one of the chapter headings with a quote from the actual book, and I left the page number up in the corner. And this has been made into a tuck spot, that fold. Another full color illustration from the original text. Lots of tip outs. I tried not to trim if I couldn't help it, so that you'd have maximum room for journaling. Again, this is that children's school notebook. I found a whole stack of them one day at one of my thrift stores. Got glue on my finger. Hold on. It's dry, don't worry. More of the resume paper. You can see in some areas you'll see that there's a watermark on it. It's beautiful paper. Another little tuck spot. It's actually a flip out. You can journal in here and hide it. Here's some tarot cards from a vintage deck. And I included the Knight of Cups, and I also included the sword because it reminded me of Excalibur. Again, another of the red and gold upholstery fabric tag. Another pocket made that I garnered from an English garden book. An artist named Mrs. Loudon did all these pen and ink drawings. Actually, I think they're etchings. I don't think they're pen and ink. And I made a journaling card out of a library catalog card, a vintage library catalog card. It was actually on a book on the theater in the Middle Ages. And I added a fussy cut knight on there. More tea-dyed papers, as ever. Flip out. This is a large journaling tag that I created, and again, I made use of a chapter heading with a poem, and I added, obviously it's from the same source because it's the exact same color, but this trim is just slightly different. So I added it to the bottom, and there's a castle with some ladies down by the river. They might be doing laundry or bathing their children. Hard to say, but I thought it was pretty. More just little stenciling here and there. I thought it sort of looked like a fleur-de-lis. Another of the original illustrations from the original book. I liked them because the backs were blank. The paper was still strong for the illustrations. The text pages weren't didn't fare the years very well, but these papers did, and there's plenty of room for journaling on each one. So I left them as is rather than cut them up and make tags out of them. I love this blue paper. I found several bundles of that one day a year or so ago. Here's another little flip out tuck spot. And then I made a little tag with a ship on it, and I put a fussy a word snippet that says journey, and you can journal on the back. Here's a tag that could also be a bookmark, and again, this was just taken from a children's picture book, and I imagine this young man is wondering if someday he will be a knight, so I used a word snippet that says hope and dream, and there's plenty of room on the back for journaling. And it's being held in for now. Again, these are all movable, which is nice. You can put them where you like, or you can take them out. Another rusty, lacy paper clip. On the other side, here's another tag I created with a page out of another children's book. on jousting. And again, I've included a chapter heading from the original text, and I've also included the title from one of the pages of original text, and it's a journaling space. Another illustration from the original text. More theory exam paper. I love this paper. It tea dyes so nicely. Look at those gorgeous stains. Only junk journalers would love that, eh? More resume paper. Here's a pocket I made from the end papers from a children's book. And I sewed in some sparkly little twine. And then I've tucked in some journaling cards that I created again from fussy cutting out of other children's books. A lot of children's books were used in this book. And then there's a picture of looks like a royal lady. And so I included a word snippet. She was right. I liked it. Out of the way here. More little stenciling. Again, more red and gold upholstery fabric. I thought it just looked very regal. Another illustration from the original text. Again, just lots and lots of pages for writing in, or gluing in, or whatever it is that you're going to use this beautiful book for. It's just so pretty. And it really is quite unisex. It's not too feminine or too masculine. This is just for someone who enjoys that period of time. Here's a little notebook that I created. I had a larger illustration of a jousting tournament. So what I did was I created a little notepad, and it's refillable. So if you use up all these papers, you can actually undo this bow and take this banner off and just simply add more papers to it. I'll tie that back up later. I don't want to take up too much time. Another rusty paper clip with lace tied to it. Here's another tag I created. This is Japanese rice paper that was brought as a gift to me all the way from Japan, from my sister-in-law and my niece who went there last year. And I just thought that was a beautiful pen and ink sketch. It looks like it's a walled medieval city. And so I used a word snippet that says noble memory. I just tucked it here. Another illustration from the original text. More horses from that 1940s drawing book. I've put an envelope here as a tuck spot. I created a journaling card from the first page of the first chapter and put a handsome knight on the front. And of course, there's plenty of room to journal on the back. And it is a tuck spot, but you'll see here that the envelope is also openable and closable. There's a king here from an illustration of a stained glass. And inside, I made 2 journaling cards from playing cards. And the back has papers on it from an old Yahtzee game, but they were blue. So I thought they looked nice. And it's the king and the queen. So I tucked those in there. They can go wherever you like. They don't have to stay in there. Other side of the horse drawings. More of that beautiful resume paper. Here's a little tuck spot with a drum. Some of these illustrations, the ones that you notice the artwork looking similar, they're from a beautiful book called Simeon's Gift, a children's book that was written by Dame Julie Andrews and her daughter. Here's some more tags that I made from that end paper from another children's book. This one has the night coming home, so I found a word snippet that says the long trip home, and you can journal on the back. And then here's a young man and young lady, a damsel. Looks like they're having a very heated discussion, so I added a word snippet that says conversation. And again, there's journaling space on the back. And as ever, anyone who's ever had one of my journals, it looks a little out of place, but I always include one. It's my my trademark photo strip bookmark of all the nanas. This is my mother, who some of you follow along. And this is her mother. So that one's my Nana. She's the Nana now, but this was my Nana that I knew growing up. So I tucked that in behind there, and you can either use it in this book or use it in your other books that you're reading through the day. And then again, this illustration is from that children's book, Simeon's Gift, and some more of that gorgeous upholstery trim. This gold trim is just so pretty, and some more of these beautiful end papers from the wrapping paper. And so that is the Talisman. I'm trying to think of anything I may have forgotten to tell you about this book. As you can see, not only is it big, it's chock full of places to write and things to hopefully give you inspiration. And it will be available in my Etsy shop. If this video is up, that means that it's available now in my Etsy shop. And if you feel like it, I'll put the link below and you can go over and take a look. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the flip through, and hopefully we'll visit again soon. Bye.